Hello, everyone. This is Naureen. I'm the founder of Inspiring Women in Hospitality. It is a company designed to build a global community of women in hospitality and tourism and to work together towards achieving gender balance at all levels of any organization. And today I'm acting as the host on behalf of IWTA to host this roundtable with my fellow panelists on the topic of mentorship. And now, before we jump in, I wanted to invite my guests to do their introductions. So may I please ask Kun Lak to start with her introduction, please?
Well, my name is Kun Lak Sasupakritakon. I've been in hospitality business for only 15 years, but prior to that, I was in manufacturing education, running my own business for the past 30 years. I was also president of the Australian Chamber of Commerce and now president of the Australian Alumni Association, Thailand.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Sumi, may I ask you to go next?
Thank you very much, Naureen. Thanks for the invitation to join this panelist, and it's great to be with Kun Lak and also Guan. So my name is Sumi Surian. I am the senior advisor for the Phuket Hotels Association, and I'm also a proud owner of a restaurant called Mrs. B in Phuket.
Thank you so much, Sumi. And Kun Kwan.
Okay, so my name is Kwan, and actually my full name is Jutamas Karanko. I have been working in hospitality since I graduated in 1996. And I think only 3 years during the period I went to Australia to study, which is the only period that I don't work in hospitality. So apart from being Director of Business Development at the So Bangkok, I also have another 2 hats, which is also involved hospitality and tourism. One of which is I'm sitting on the board as the co-chairperson on the marketing committee for TICA, Thailand Incentive Convention Association, and also I'm sitting on the board for Australian Thai Chamber, or known as AusCham, also as the lead for hospitality and tourism.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we're definitely surrounded by an amazing group of women with lots of experience within hospitality and tourism, and also outside of hospitality and tourism, which I think is also important because it's good that we can learn from other industries as well and see what experiences can contribute towards our industries as well. So this conversation is around mentorship, something that's important to me and something that I've identified as being sometimes perhaps missing when it comes to women and growing their career and having that kind of support that they may need in the form of a mentor. So let me start by asking is, what has your experience been with mentorship? So Kun Kwan, if I can start with you, please.
I'm not sure whether I should call it mentorship, but I would say that I have been coaching a lot of people, particularly anything around working in the industry, training them, helping them in that job, and then sharing the real experience from my experience with this 20 plus years. So I think with that reasons I get to do a lot more, and then being recognized by the industry people. And that's the reason why people pulling me into a bigger picture, right? Bigger organization, in order to share my experience more and then inspire more people.
That's actually a really good point that you raise, is that, by coaching, mentoring, training, you're also then creating your own visibility as well, which I think is so important. So then you can then, spread the knowledge, spread the word, and, help bring everybody up together as well.
Right.
And for you, Sumi, what has been your experience with mentorship?
I have to say, I remember my first experience or exposure of mentorship is my boss taking me under her wing and sort of encouraging me of pushing my boundaries to do something that I never thought I could possibly take on. So I think that's a very first step of building my career in my early 20s. Until this very day, we still keep in touch, and I also hope to pay the way forward. So with the Phuket Hotels Association, we've got the scholarship programs with our Thai students as well as hotel members. So we hope that we could lean on each other I hope it's a rolling process.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Sumi. And Kunlak, tell us about your experience with mentorship.
Well, I think mine's coming from the extreme end because I'm the owner, and I also run the place myself. So I always never had any partnership in my businesses. So I tend to rely a lot on my connections and my contacts, on friends, on colleagues who would give me advices. So in a way, I was just going in blank, like, I have no idea. Then I would have great friends like, of course, Gary Marshall and Wayne Williams, a minor, who would actually give me a lot of guidance. But in a way, it's not like in terms of mentoring, but I'm seeking the advices on certain topics, and they would give it to me. And then with mix and match of different people, I try to form my own ideal, way of running my own resort, and read a lot, and tend to rely on a lot of documents and things like that, much more than mentoring. But I hopefully through this, I can actually learn how to be a mentor to other people, because for those people who comes in like blank and hasn't started off with any corporate backgrounds and wanted to do their own business as an SME or as a resort, it's very difficult, Naureen. I can't speak for corporate mentor because I'm not from corporate world. So I'm a very different kind of an angle, more of a self, like an owner who runs their own business. I would come from the other end, but in this way I've learned a lot as well from the corporate world.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that's also important. We're all having different careers and different career paths and wanting different experiences. So we will go to different people, and it's important to understand each other's backgrounds, which is why also it's important to, use platforms like LinkedIn to know somebody's career path. So, someone who's starting an SME may go to Kunlak, but someone who's doing more of a corporate career path can then go to Kun Kwan, right? So it's depending on where they want to go, or perhaps, they're trying to work with an association, which is more about the educational. So then they may reach out to Sumi. So the more that we, as each of us, speak about our careers and experiences, then we can attract people to come to us and approach us. So I guess the first question is, when you were looking for a mentor, Kunlak, what did you do? How did you approach them? Or what did you ask? Like when you were asking for advice, like how did you choose that you want to go to Gary to speak to him? And what did you ask him? Did you say, hey, can you just sit down with me and I have like 100 questions to ask you?
Because I thought, I'm just checking out his networking. He's the network king. So obviously he's covered a lot of topics. Basically, it's not only one as a GM or something. Obviously he has contacts with, various, like agents. And so it's all different levels, F&B. So obviously he's an all-round person. So I would go to somebody who actually covers a lot of areas and not just only one aspect. So he would give me a general overview of what hospitality is about and what's important about it.
And Kun Kwan, you said you've mentored a lot of people and you've given training and advices. Do you choose the mentees, or do they come to you? How does that relationship build for you?
Okay, I think I'm very fortunate to be in a good hotel chain and to learn from the best. And when I hit at the age of 40, it's the time when I start telling myself, apart from just doing training for my own staff, like what else can I do more? So I start doing a lot of volunteer, participating in many organizations where I can help people, get to meet the other people who are seeking to learn. I also felt good, so from then on, I started to participate more to promote the hotel industry, the hospitality industry. And I like people coming here and really understand what hospitality is all about. It means that I would be seeing a lot of future hospitality people. And I think with today's situation, it's very difficult because we start losing a lot of people, because hospitality is very unique, but it needs people who are very passionate about it.
Completely agree with that. And there's so many things that you mentioned there that resonates with me. And first of all, you're absolutely right. Depending on different times of your life, there will be different things that are important to you. And it's not just always about work, because you can't really separate the two. it's your life and your work, and they have to be coming together. And it's important to know, as you said, your goal, and it will change when you're 20, when you're 30, when you're 40, when you're 50, and it's okay. And having that support and having a mentor who can work with you to give you that guidance, or like just push you, or like Sumi was saying, like, get you out of maybe your comfort zone, or perhaps, give you a different perspective, or ask you questions in a different way that perhaps you may have thought about differently. And, I love that you're now in a position that you want to give back and encourage people to come and stay in the industry. I think a lot of people come into the industry, but then they don't want to stay. And I think, Sumi, you were saying earlier that, you've got a restaurant, but can only open for the dinner because you don't have enough of the staff to, have the lunch service as well. So, that service mindset, again, is critically important when you're coming into hospitality and tourism, and also just wanting to give a good experience. And for you, Sumi, now sort of that you're in this position of, like we just gave this example of your restaurant, but also from your own experiences of deciding, where you want to go and having that vision. I think that came up now again twice. What is the goal? Imagine your vision in 50 words. How are you now using your own experiences to be a mentor, and what are you looking for in a mentee?
I don't think it's very black and white. And I think searching for a mentor or mentee, I think it needs to have a synergy. And I think values are very important. I think there's a lot of trust involved in the relationship as well, where their opinion matters. So it's always a two-way street. So it's not just one way. And there's so many incidences where I've learned from my mentee as well. I may not always have the answers. I don't know what I want to do in 5 years' time, or I think I know what I want to do, but that may not be the case. And often a good mentor can see where your skill sets lies, or where you'd be better or happier, and help you get there. So yeah, I think it's a very two-way street, and it's also, for me, when I look at my mentors as well, I look at I like their motto in life. I like their integrity. I like their values, and I like how they view their lives. So not just professionally, and I know that they've got the connections to get me where I want to go as well. And always not afraid to ask. Like, I during COVID, I said, I want to have more presence. So I had more webinar options and, stage presence. So yeah, never be too afraid to ask.
That is such a good point. Never be too afraid to ask. And I think oftentimes women are afraid to ask. I mean, I can use my own example. I was afraid to ask for mentors, and I was thinking, they don't have time for me. I'm just going to waste their time. Why should they, bother spending any time with me? But I think, I've obviously since changed my mindset. And like you said, you learn from your mentees as well. And it's about building your visibility and presence, building that network, right? And doing the networking, because you're building, someone used a word called social capital recently, and you're building that, right? And you're putting as much effort into that as you would with your friends and your family, because you have to maintain those relationships, throughout your career. And since we're talking about women, it sounded like, Sumi, you mentioned a lot of male names, not that many female names.
I was just thinking that too. I've only got one female mentor out of 5.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we all seek out mentors or mentees, of any gender. But of course, it will be nice to see more, women playing the role of the mentor, and also women being more mentees. Kunlak, I think for yourself as well, was it a mix when you were reaching out for mentors, or also now that you're kind of starting to play the role of the mentor, are you seeking out for more female mentees?
Oh, definitely, because through my advocacy as president of the Australian Chamber, or with the alumni as well, I do a lot of events that concentrates on allowing women to be participating in whatever whatever industries I'm organizing the event. So basically, I'm pushing for that woman's involvement much more in terms of interaction, in terms of expressing their ideas and more or less guiding them towards the leadership as well.
Thank you. And Khun coming back, Khun Kwan, coming back to you, talking about women in the industry and mentorship. What has your experience been? Have you had a lot of male or female? And as you're now going into more the mentoring role, are you seeking out, who are you seeking out to be your mentees?
Actually, I don't really seek out. So I would say it is very different from, Khun Lak or Khun Sumi case, because I am still in the job and I'm working like, my ladders, right, to step up. So in every step, there's someone under me. And then there would be someone who worked with me, and then there would be my ex, as in they would be leaving me and then going elsewhere. And then we will be like industry colleagues. And that's the things, when you build a relationship from having a colleagueship first, whether it's could be your staff, it could be your boss, it could be your peers. When you're not together, actually, that's the best time for you to talk about career goal. Because sometimes within the same company, it's very hard to talk because, especially like you need to promote. I mean, with the protocol, you need to promote your organization. You can't really talk around, okay, where else you should go, how you should grow your steps, what are the options. We can talk options, but if they are outside and they're not within the same chain anymore, I think we can talk more openly. And with that, so I would not say that it's a mentorship. There's a lot to do with friendship as well, because if they trust you, they see who you are, what you do, and they would need your advice. They would seek for the guidance, especially changing job. Some people are looking into like, how can I grow there? Should I go for this hotel chain? Should I go for this role? Things like this. And I can see for who they are, what they have, what their competencies, what their future look like, what would be their options, rather than select for them. If they come with options, I probably help them to analyze what I see from my perspective, and then they have to put their own perspective. We cannot choose the future.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's exactly what I wanted to hear as well as part of this conversation is you're so right. Like when you're within your organization, it's really hard to have like an open and honest conversation sometimes. So if you can keep that relationship outside of the organization or seek out, I think the point here is also making sure that you seek out mentors or mentees from outside of your business so you can have that honest conversation and building the trust. You're absolutely right. Building the trust is like building a friendship. You spend time together, you get to know one another. And then from there, you can start developing there. A mentor-mentee relationship is not just a 1-hour conversation. It's something that you develop over a certain period of time. And, they also, whether you're the mentor or mentee, it's about getting to know one another. And, it's been said a few times now, are you aligned with your values? Do you connect with one another? Are you in the same field? Whether you're your own business owner or whether you're working in corporate or whether you're working in association, what are your values? What are the experiences? Are they lining up? And what can you offer one another? And then, working together over a long period of time, it's not sort of one and done. It's something that you foster and putting the effort and time into it. Then I will thank each and every one of you. Kanlak, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. Sumi, thanks to you as well. And finally, thank you, Khun Kwan, and for joining us today and for sharing your insights with us on behalf of IWTA. Let's hope that we continue to inspire many more women around the world and continue to encourage female empowerment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.